For now, reporting live in Jefferson Square, I'm Lindsay Allen, WDRB News.
Thank you, Lindsay. We will have much more on today's historic ruling in just a moment. But first, a tornado warning has just come in.
Let's send it to Jeremy Capel in the Weather Center. Jeremy?
Yeah, guys, we want to pass this information along immediately. Southern portions of Hart County underneath that warning. I'm joined by Rick DeLuca. Rick, we've been looking at weather moving in this evening. It looks like over the next few hours it's going to get quite bumpy.
Right.
Let's take a look at the latest. You can see we have watches in effect. We have warnings in effect for much of Kentucky and all the blue counties, pretty much the entirety of the viewing area. That's a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect until 11 o'clock this evening. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Breckenridge, for portions of Grayson, southern Hardin, portions of Hart County underneath. Again, warnings, but the area that we're most concerned with, of course, is that severe thunderstorm warning, or I should say now tornado warning that's in effect for southern portions of Hart County. Rick's got that storm. You can see on Storm View HD radar, you can see that signature located very close to Horse Cave. Looks like a little curly Q in the clouds there near Cave City right now, and that's where it appears to be a tornadic circulation, or the possibility of a tornadic circulation developing. And this is a radar indicated tornado, southern portions of Hart County. We're going to take a look at the velocity signature. You can see healthy thunderstorms all across that area. We are showing some rotation. It doesn't look terribly impressive, but it is developing. And that storm making its way through portions of Barron County, Metcalfe County, and now into southern portions of Hart County. That warning goes until 3:30 here this evening. Rick, what do you see on radar?
Well, obviously that storm is actually starting to get some structure to it. So we're going to go over to our high definition radar, and we have this split screen. On the right-hand side, you can see velocities, which tells us the winds inside the storm. And on the left side, your generic view you typically see, which is just the reflectivity. So we're going to zoom in pretty tight just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on within this particular cell, which does have a supercellular structure. You can see that main body of the storm, a little hook on the back side, but no real strong rotation within it. Of course, these things can cycle up, begin to get stronger, and also fall apart. So this could be in the beginning stages of trying to form a tornado. But right now, we're still watching that tornado warning in effect for Hart County until 3:30. So, Jeremy, really not a bad idea if you live in Greene County to kind of start to think ahead, because if this indeed holds together, it's going to be moving your direction as the storm races off to the east and northeast.
Yep, absolutely, Rick. And boy, we're looking at a very active cluster of thunderstorms making its way into the area. We know how active last night was. Well, last night's thunderstorms really fueled by just the sheer amount of moisture instability that we had in the atmosphere. We had a little boundary, and that helped to create the strongest severe thunderstorms that we saw last night. We're looking at a different scenario developing today. First of all, these storms are coming in with peak heating, and with that, we have some upper level energy that's in place right now that's going to help to get these storms going. But basically, all of the area needs to be on their toes here this evening. You can see multiple warnings in effect, a tornado warning for southern sections of Hart County, but we do have separate severe thunderstorm warnings for much of Hart County, western portions of Hart County. That's not one, but two warnings. That's for Munfordville. That's for a storm capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some small hail with that as well. And a second warning up here for northwestern sections of Hart County. That's along and just to the west of the Interstate 65 corridor. It does include Millerstown and a good section of Grayson County, including Litchfield. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds. Rick has a track on that potential tornadic circulation for you. It's going to be located near Seymour here in about 8 minutes from now. Three Springs, 12 minutes from now. Center, about 15 minutes from now, and out towards the Webbs area. If it holds together, 25 to 30 minutes from now. Your time to take shelter if you live in any one of these communities is now. We don't want to wait until that storm is on top of you. There's a lot of precipitation with the storm, a lot of lightning. We don't really need sightseers with this. Right now, we just want to go to our safe place. Off to our west, now Rick's taking a look at these hail potential there, Rick. It looks like we're looking for the possibility of hail with any of these storms you can see off to the west. I don't think at this point that appears to be the largest threat. You can see a hail signature to the west of 65 near that tornado warned cell. But thunderstorms developing all across our western counties here at this point, and we're going to have to continue to monitor the situation here as it develops. If you're just now joining us, typically you'd be getting your updated news and of course sports and weather this hour during WDRB News at 4 o'clock. Well, we're going to preempt that programming for developing weather that we have across the area. It's not like it wasn't expected, Rick. But
right.
It was a little unclear how it would all come together when these storms would fire this afternoon.
Well, it's kind of like baking a cake. I mean, it's kind of, you have to have all the ingredients right. If you miss just a little bit, then it can cause an issue. And basically now we're starting to see some of the ingredients come together for the potential for the severe weather. So we actually want to go back to, Jay, we're going to go to the other radar, Storm View HD, the 3D one, and we're going to take you down into the tornado warning itself. So just to give you the basic information for this warning, it is a tornado warning for Hart County right now until 3:30 in the afternoon. So if you're down in Hart County, a good idea to go ahead and take your tornado safety precautions, a safe place. If you have a basement, that's absolutely the best place to be. But if you don't, you want to try to put as many walls between you and outside as possible. The storm is dangerous. There's a ton of lightning with it, torrential rainfall, and those are the two things that come along with any thunderstorm. But this storm, it's severe, and it also has a tornadic signature to it. So we're watching the potential for a tornado here. Could be a weak one. No real serious velocities with this, Jeremy. I'm looking inside, and this is the velocity scope, which allows us to look at some of those winds. We don't see that strong red and green couplet coming together, which is some good news, because obviously we hope this thing stays weak enough that it doesn't really produce that tornado, but it's something we're watching very carefully. The next couple of scans will kind of tell what it has. But Jeremy, there's a lot of heat and humidity in the air. You walk outside, you are sweating instantly. You know there's fuel for these thunderstorms. There's just that wind energy that's catching up behind it. And once that begins to develop and we get a little more dynamics in the picture, then we're going to watch these storms continue to basically unfold in the next couple hours here.
And it's always concerning when these storms do come in during peak heating. That's exactly what you get 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And so unfortunately, it doesn't look like timing is on our side. They did issue a new severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like for portions of, this is the part of Grayson County that wasn't already underneath a warning. That severe thunderstorm warning looks like it does include western sections of the county. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for what appears to be all of Grayson, Hardin, Ohio, and now Breckenridge counties. That's for a storm capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds. And that's we're hoping that's what we see out of these storms. But obviously, some rotation evident with that southern storm. And you know, Rick, the concerning part is that the better dynamics are further to the north, as you and I have been talking about across portions of southern Indiana. It's this other complex of storms that we're really going to have to watch closely. You see, you kind of have two areas here. You got the southern activity that does include multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, that one tornado warning, but you also have this line of thunderstorms that is developing across sections of southern Indiana and into far western portions of Kentucky. This is actually in association with better upper level forcing. It'd be interesting to see how this all comes together here over the next few hours. We're hoping that these southern storms perhaps can rob some of the moisture transport further to the north, because we know those storms across southern Indiana, better dynamics will be in place there a little bit later on this evening.
Right, even though they're quiet right now, not much going on, they could intensify in the coming hours. We're just getting flanked. If you look at that line coming in from the south and from the west, Grayson County, parts of Breckenridge County, heading off closer to Hardin County now. So if you have any afternoon, evening plans tonight, this is something you really want to take into consideration, that plans could be interrupted here, as we do have this line of storms working in from the south and from the west. All of those orange boxes, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. We also have this tornado warning down on the southern side in Hart County until 3:30. And Jeremy, you have our high definition radar pulled up. What are you seeing over there in terms of the winds?
And we've got both reflectivity up here on the left. That's what shows you where the precipitation is falling. And on the right, that is what the winds are doing. We call this velocity. And there is a couplet that's beginning to develop right now. I'm looking. It's not terribly impressive, somewhere on the order of about 35 to 40 knot gate to gate, but there is a broad area of rotation. It looks like it's coming pretty close to crossing the North Jackson Highway. If you know where that is at, that's off to the east of Cave City, north of Glasgow, approaching the Highsville area. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It looks like that circulation will cross to the south of Horse Cave. That circulation to the south of Old Lexington Road, and also it looks like it's very close to Griderville Road, right there where it intersects US 31. So that area, if it holds together, and you can see where they've got that warning going next. That warning has been extended for northern sections of I believe that's Hart County or Monroe County.
That's still in.
Looks like out of south central Kentucky. So that's
right. Continues for Hart County, and that's going to basically track its way off to the east-northeast. So areas of Greene County, even though you are not under a tornado warning, probably a good idea to sort of have your plan ready to go in case this storm holds together and intensifies. That's not always the case. They can cycle up and down, they can weaken, strengthen, and really it's back and forth. But we are watching that southern storm. The closest, all of those other warnings are severe thunderstorm warnings. That's the only tornado warning we have in the area at the moment. But those storms still packing a punch, Jeremy. Torrential rainfall, tons of lightning, and a lot of people during these months, they kind of underestimate the power of lightning and don't think, oh, I'm not going to get struck. That's not the case. Really stay away from windows, get inside. If you're hanging out by the pool trying to beat the heat, this is the time you need to be inside immediately, especially down in those southern counties. So we're going to put a tracker on this one because I want to give you at least an idea of where these storms are heading as they go off to the east-northeast. So we're going to quickly just put a tracker on these severe thunderstorms as they roll across areas of the Commonwealth and the Bluegrass. Around 40 miles an hour, should be in Hardinsburg in about 5 to 10 minutes away, Magnolia 10 minutes, E-Town in about 25 to 30 minutes or so, and then Radcliffe 40 minutes away. These storms are racing their way off to the east-northeast, trying to combine with some of that energy that's sliding in from the west. But right now, it looks like this is the main show at the moment, Jeremy.
Yeah, Rick, that's obviously where all the warnings are firing up right now. And everybody, if you're listening to us here, again, ordinarily we're on WDRB News at 4 o'clock. We're preempting our news programming right now to cover this developing weather situation. Everybody is under the risk of severe weather here as we go throughout the course of this evening. We've been watching this situation for a few days now, and you can see as we put these storms into motion that they're getting stronger, not weaker. That severe thunderstorm warning for all of our southwestern counties, the tornado warning that does continue for Hart County. That's also sections of both Barron and Metcalfe County. That's outside of our viewing area underneath that warning. Thunderstorms continue to fire. This is a little leftover boundary that moved through last night. If you remember, and you heard all the lightning and all the thunder last night from that storm system that rolled through, well, that kind of pushed a little wind shift boundary to our southern counties. That's where we're seeing the redevelopment. It's to the south of this that we've got the higher dew point values, and they're going to race up, it looks like across the viewing area here, ahead of what will likely be what we call the kicker. This line of storms firing up with wind energy that's lining up aloft. That's going to help to produce lift. It's going to lift this moisture and the thunderstorms, it looks like, right into our central viewing area here as we go throughout the next hour, 2 hours to come. We're hoping that this is a rogue, that tornado warning for Hart County. We're hoping we don't have to deal with too many of those here this evening, but it will be a possibility, especially a little bit later on this evening once we get a little better wind energy. You can see Rick's got a best track on that line of severe storms. Again, not a continuous line, okay? We're talking about some breaks in that, but overall the movement off towards the north and east on this track, it's going to be near Hardinsburg about 11 minutes from now, Cecilia 23 minutes from now, Hodgenville about a half hour from now, a little longer than that before it reaches the E-Town area. But again, this is a storm that is capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds and also some hail. There's a look at the storm that we're most concerned with. That's coming out of northern Barron into extreme northern Metcalfe County. That circulation looks like it's just to the south of our viewing area. Rick, is that getting any better organized?
Not really. I mean, the structure of the cell itself is kind of holding together, but we're not seeing any sort of intensification when it comes to the rotation or the spin, which is some good news. So I'm looking at the velocities here. We have the reflectivity and the velocities still showing where some greens and reds trying to come together, green toward the radar, red away from the radar. When we look at those colors popping brightly right next to each other, when you get that tight rotation, that's when you typically do have a tornado. So we're not seeing any serious signs. However, the structure of the supercell does suggest that we could certainly see one. So we're watching this one very carefully. Hart County, I hope you're in your safe place, especially areas south of Munfordville. Greene County, be prepared. You are not under a tornado warning, but if this storm stays on its track, it will eventually be in your area, and you would be the next one to go under a warning. And just keep in mind, we also have a flood watch in effect, a flash flood watch. We had some of those storms yesterday drop rainfall rates around 2 to 3 inches per hour, and that can quickly cover up the roads, making traveling absolutely dangerous. So basically, if you have any outdoor plans this evening, or if you are traveling, watch out for the potential for some flash flooding, because you can see the rainfall rates are intense with some of these storms. And you see those reds and those really bright colors on there, it is coming down absolutely heavy, almost tropical-like in a couple locations. So lightning, heavy downpours, gusty winds, and hail. And we cannot rule out that tornado threat as we look at this storm in southern Hart County. Jeremy, I mean, we're watching that rotation try to come together, but it really isn't holding together all that tightly. What are you seeing? No, it's not. And in fact, I think we just need to watch this for another couple minutes. If it doesn't get a little better organized, I think we should probably go back over to news and do what we would normally be doing during the 4 o'clock show.
Keep in mind, we're going to monitor the situation here all evening, but right now I do not see a life-threatening situation in our viewing area. Keep in mind, if a tornado was on the ground, that would be in northern portions of Barron County and also northern portions of Metcalfe County. So this is something we'll continue to watch here. Again, the threat appears to be limited. It appears to be south of our actual viewing area at this point. If you do live in the southern portions of Hart County, I want you to take the situation seriously. Go ahead and take your tornado precautions, take your shelter in a basement if you have one. If you don't, the interior portion of your home, let this threat pass. We've got about another 10 minutes on this particular warning, and then after that, we'll see what the National Weather Service decides to do. But right now, again, that warning just to the south of Hart County. Take your tornado precautions there. Southern portions of Hart County will continue to watch the situation. We'll have a full update coming up after this break.
Jeremy Capel and Rick DeLuca keeping a close eye on things. Let's check in with Jeremy right now for the very latest.
Hey, some good news to pass along to you is that we've been in contact with the National Weather Service. They are going to allow that tornado warning for southern and southeastern sections of Hart County to expire. Good news there. We do have a bunch of other warnings that have been issued. A new warning that just went into effect for northern Perry and portions of Crawford County. I've got Rick DeLuca with me. Rick, we've been tracking these storms here. Let's go over the latest on radar.
All right, well, first we're going to get you up to date. That tornado warning will go for another 3 minutes or so down in Hart County, but then they're probably going to let that one go. So then we transition from that tornado warning over to the other threat, which is all these severe thunderstorm warnings we have lined up flanking us from the south and from the west. With these storms, the main two threats are wind gusts from 50 to 60 miles an hour and also the potential for hail, which is about the size of a quarter. So this is the newest warning we have out. This one includes Crawford, Perry County until 4:45 Eastern Time. This severe thunderstorm warning is basically for the high wind and hail threat as it tracks its way off to the north and to the east. So areas basically from, let's say, Siberia, Ferdinand, up through Birdseye and St. Mark, Carter getting hit with some very heavy rainfall and a ton of lightning. Now, this goes down to the south, and we have another line of warnings stretching from Breckenridge County all the way through Grayson County, Litchfield, Millerstown, Hardinsburg, Jeremy, getting hit with a lot of thunderstorm activity right now as they track off to the east and to the northeast. So,
yep, it's going to be a busy evening. It looks like you can see lots of warnings making their way into our western counties right now. Our southwestern counties under the gun. I do expect additional warnings as all this activity makes its way up towards the north and east over the next couple of hours. We'll have a new update coming up in just a few minutes, Elizabeth. Good evening to you. Meteorologist Jeremy Capel here, joined by Rick DeLuca. Rick, we've got our hands full weather-wise. We've got watches, we've got warnings, a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 11 o'clock. And Rick, a lot of individual warnings out there as well.
Right, 4, as a matter of fact, in the area. And it's the evening commute. A lot of people trying to get out on the roads and get home, get that weekend started, so we want to get you there safe. So first things first, we're going to take you up close and show you these watches and warnings we have going on. The first one is up to the north. We're going to go from north to south. So as we look toward Crawford, Perry County, this storm system capable of producing wind gusts to 60 miles an hour and quarter-size hail. That will last until 4:45. As we move down the line, we also have a severe thunderstorm warning until 5 o'clock for Breckenridge, Harrison, and Meade County. This big one that you see encompasses some gusty winds up to 60 miles an hour for Breckenridge, Grayson County, Hart, Meade. That will last until 5:05. And Jeremy, we're going down to the very end of the line here. This one for parts of Greene, Hart County, that's in our area, until 4 o'clock Central Time. So we're watching all these individual storms very carefully, but we've transitioned over from more of a tornado threat now, watching the severe thunderstorm threat with some gusty winds and some hail. So you're going to watch some of these storms, Jeremy.
Yeah, this is a storm a little while earlier, had that tornado warning associated with it. It's weakened quite a bit. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but those ones further to the north, Rick, if we could get a track on that one that's moving through portions of Breckenridge County, I think that'd be good, because that's the one that looks like, at least to me, would have the highest wind potential with that. You can see that little bow segment here out of portions of Breckenridge into Hardin County. It's lifting off towards the north and east, and you can see some of the locations. It's going to be near Radcliffe here right around 26 minutes from now. It'll get to E-Town a little bit before that. Cecilia, perhaps about 5 minutes from now. Again, that's a storm capable of producing winds to 60 miles per hour, maybe some small hail. I think everybody's going to see storms here as we go throughout the next few hours to come. It's going to be a busy evening for much of the area. The temperature has spiked. Late day high of 88 degrees. It does feel warmer. That dew point temperature beginning to increase. It felt better if you were out earlier today. We had the humidity drop in the wake of last night's storm system, but all that moisture beginning to surge out in our direction. You can see a pair of severe thunderstorm watches. One of them takes up pretty much all of the WDRB news viewing areas. Right now, the activity, the hot spots are southwestern and western counties. All this activity looks to roll through the area here as we go throughout the course of the evening hours. We're tracking a little frontal system off to our west and at a developing area of low pressure. It's not often this time of the year you get a low that is this far to the south that's actually deepening. To the south of that low, we've got a humid, unstable air mass that's going to push up against that frontal boundary that's in place and will likely result as more thunderstorms as we go throughout the evening hours. Now, the latest run of Advanced Track shows the activity that's out there now that pushes that leading edge through our eastern counties here by around 6:30 or 7. But notice we've got more thunderstorms, and some of those storms in the metro around 6 or 7 o'clock could have a little bit of rotation with them. That's something we'll need to watch very carefully. But we're not talking about just one round of thunderstorms. Could see multiple waves of storms here as we go throughout the evening hours. And I think eventually, once we reach late evening and into the overnight period, we'll definitely see those storms beginning to weaken. And it looks like all the activity will be out of here as we start off our weekend. In the meantime, we've got our hands full. It's going to be the evening. Stay tuned to WDRB for the very latest. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect tonight until 11 o'clock. Storm chance very high here this evening, and then showers and storms coming to an end overnight tonight. Tomorrow, we start off dry, much calmer, and then a chance of an afternoon shower. Nothing severe. In fact, I don't even think we'll see much in the way of lightning into the day tomorrow. Some beautiful weather coming up in the extended Sunday. Looks like a real gem. Low humidity, lots of sunshine, 80 degrees. It looks like we will go back into a more active pattern as we head towards next week. But we'll need to watch this evening because we do have some ingredients that are coming together. And of course, if we do have more warnings, we'll be sure to pass those along to you. You can always get more weather information. Just go to the WDRB weather page. You can find us on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter. I'm Jeremy Capel. That's Rick DeLuca. We'll have a full update coming up in just a bit.